Welcome. In this video, we're going to look at multi-track audio editing using an online audio editor application from aviary.com. So the first step is to you can Google Aviary, and let's go to aviary.com. Aviary is a company that has created a number of online multimedia applications. Most recently, they've gotten into web and mobile apps for photo editing. You can see that they developed these across platform. We are looking for the original Aviary suite. And when I hear verbiage like this, it makes me think they're changing their business model. So we'll keep an eye on Aviary and whether they keep their products freely available. But right now they are freely available. You do need to sign up, and that is so that you can save your creations and then later access them, export them out as MP3. So let's start with signing up. You can use an existing account through one of your other web services that you use, or you can create an Aviary specific username, email, password. Now the Aviary tool set, like I said, various multimedia applications, image editor, screen capture, vector editors, as well as this is a beat creator, and we're looking at this audio editor here that's called Myna. So go ahead and let's click on the Myna editor, and we're taken to the main Myna page. You can view a demo of the application, and if you click this button here, Launch Myna, what it will do is open up a project that's already populated with audio on multiple tracks. It's a song, so you can take a look at how somebody else has created sort of electronic song using multi-track pieces of audio in this application. For our class, we're going to click this link here, Start a New Myna Creation. Go ahead and click that, and that will launch the editor. It takes a few moments to load. Great. Now the first thing, down here at the bottom, we have access to some libraries, but let's just close that to start by clicking this library button here. It's in green. So now we just have our main editor. I want to call your attention to this URL up here. And if you want to bookmark that, then you can kind of skip the steps that we just went through to open up a fresh editor, and use this URL just to open one straight up. Let's take a look at the application user interface. This is our first timeline-based application that we're using in class, and so that's a good place to start. We have various tracks, track 1, track 2, track 3, and if we go over here to the right side and scroll down, note that we have 10 tracks available to us. The next piece to look at, when I click on this red triangle here, I get this line that then moves down across tracks. This is what I'll refer to as the playhead. Now the playhead moves when it's at the very most left side. It is at the 0 point in the track, 0 seconds, and then it will move to the right over time. Now what we see up here are beats and measures. Measure 1, measure 2, measure 3. Since we're not recording audio, let's go down to the bottom here and click over the top of this this clock here, which is will switch our notation to time. Now we have minutes, seconds, and milliseconds. You can monitor time here. And now if we look at our timeline, 0 seconds, 2 seconds, 4 seconds, 6 seconds, etc. So as our playhead moves, right now we would be in the position of about 7 seconds because it's between 6 and 8. Now, just to be on the safe side, let's save our project to start. And so there's a button here, Save As. I'm going to click that. And we can give our creation a title. As far as permissions and licenses, the default is a Creative Commons attribution license. You can choose all rights reserved or attribution non-commercial. Now this service, Aviary, has a community of sharing that's also attached to this. You can choose to allow your your assets to be shared with the community. I'm not going to talk much about that, but there's plenty of information on Aviary's site about their community and how you can connect with other multimedia creators to share and use their content. I'm just going to stick with the default license for now. You can type in a description and tags again to make these searchable within the community. Now, I haven't logged in yet. You may, since you already logged in, or excuse me, you signed up, you're probably logged in. I will click this login register button here, and it prompts me to register if I haven't already done so, or I click the tab up at the top to log in. And now when I click Save a New Creation, it takes a moment to save. I now see that my creation is saved here. I get my title. I have buttons here, Save, Mixdown. Now Mixdown creates a mixed version which will collapse all of the layers into a single layer so that it can be exported out as an MP3, or you can save a copy. We'll be using Save throughout, and we'll mix down at the end. Now, I was talking about these tracks as layers, and I do want to talk about layering multiple tracks in basically the same way that we did in our image editing assignment, where we layered multiple graphical or image elements on top of each other to make a visual collage. In essence, that's what we're doing with multi-track editing, and we have the capability to put audio assets in a place on the timeline and then layer them one on top of each other. One requirement of the audio assignment is to import some previously existing audio, whether that's an MP3 that you found at the archive.org or an audio file that you have in your possession. To import audio, let's go to the File drop-down menu, and there's an option for Import Audio. This menu shows us the formats that Myna accepts. We have WAV, MP3, pretty much the industry standard file formats. You can go ahead and browse for that. And on my desktop, I have a file by Big Bill Brunzi from the archive, which is in the public domain, so we can go ahead and use this. I'll click Next. Now, you can give your individually imported audio assets some info, such as a file, description, tags. This is where you can decide who will see the creation. You can say everyone in the community, contacts within the Myna community, or only you for now, and you can attribute rights to this specific file that you're bringing in. These are particularly important if you choose to participate within the community of sharing. And if you're bringing in audio, bringing in a music file, which the community of sharing largely is composed of, at least on the audio side, musicians, then you can give genre, tempo, etc. So once you've entered in all of the metadata, go ahead and click Upload. Depending on your internet connection, this may take a while. Once the file is finished uploading, you're prompted to either upload another file, or you can say no thanks and get back to audio editing. One note, I'm on a Mac. I have noticed that I had a little bit of trouble uploading files with Safari on certain connections. I'm using Firefox right now and I haven't had any problems. So if you are having problems uploading your MP3 files into Myna, you might want to try a different browser, and if you continue to have problems, then try it on a different internet connection and see if the problem persists. I'm going to click No Thanks. We're done uploading. And now what has happened is I get this menu of imported files that's opened to the right hand side of the screen. I can open and shut this by clicking this import button here, imported button. So I have access to my files, they're always right there. I'm going to grab a hold of my audio file by Big Bill Brunzi, and I'm going to click down on it and drag it right onto my timeline. and you can see the outline of the file. It's in blue, and I'm dragging that right onto track 1. I can move it back and forth, and I'm just going to sync it right up to the end of my track. Now what we see here is the wave form of the audio, I always think that waveforms are extremely beautiful to take a look at, and it's always interesting to listen to audio and then get to actually see the audio wave represented. So let's take a listen. Here's our playhead right here in red. Down here at the bottom we have a play button, pause button. We can jump forward and back, rewind, and then we can go to the beginning and the end of the track. Let's start by pressing the play button. And stop. Now shortcut, the spacebar also. On most timeline-based applications, the spacebar generally starts and stops the playhead so you can watch your media play. Now let's take a look. We're at 0, 0. The music actually comes in after about 1 second. Now I can use this slider down here at the bottom of the editor, and I can just slide across the track. And let's find the end. There it is. And let's look at the time here. It ends at around 3 minutes and 13 seconds, and the track actually ends closer to 3:16. So I can navigate around my track using this slider back and forth. I have the capability here, let's move right into the middle of the track somewhere. I have the capability to use the zoom in and zoom out. So if I zoom out, right now I'm seeing time code every 2 seconds, and as I start to zoom out, now I'm seeing time code every 10 seconds. And so you can get a larger view of the track as a whole. And if I keep zooming out, I'm almost there. Now I can see the whole audio file. Now there's another viewer. To zoom back in, I can click the zoom in button. There's also this slider here, which enables me to move backwards and forwards through my track or through my project. And if I grab a hold on the end here, I can shrink it, and that also zooms in or zooms out. So there's a number of ways to be able to see your audio using sliders, using this navigator, zooming in, zooming out, using this to zoom in and zoom out. So as you start to experiment with it, you'll find what works best for you. Head back to the beginning of the track here. I got this nice pop-up reminder. It's probably been 1 or 2 minutes saying reminder to save my work. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Click the save button. And when I save my work, by default I get this prompter that asks me if I'm ready to create a mixdown. Now once again, a mixdown is sort of what you do at the end of your project, and what that will do is then export a variety of formats of your file onto the Myna service, such as an MP3 or a WAV format, which you can then download. And we'll do that at the end so that you can get an MP3 to turn in for the assignment. But right now, so that I don't have this mixdown menu pop up every time I hit save, I'm going to unclick this, show this window every time, and now I'll hit the X here and just close that out. So we have some audio on our first track, and I don't need the full 3-minute track of Big Bill singing this blues song. In fact, I think I'm only going to take about a 10-second chunk, and this intro here, where he's just playing the guitar before he starts singing, will be good. So I know that the singing starts probably around the 14-15 second mark. So I am going to set my playhead to the point where I'm interested in cutting, and I'll just give it a quick test. Yep. So he starts singing right here at about 15. I'm going to put it closer to around 14. This is going to be the point right here. Everything before the playhead I want to keep, and I'm just going to get rid of everything after the playhead. So there is a tool up here in this menu that's called Select. I can grab that select tool, and what it gives me is a sort of a cursor, and I can just drop my cursor over the spot that I want to start selecting, hold down my mouse button, and then pull it, and then continue selecting the chunk of audio that I want to keep. Now, so this is the first 14 seconds I'm going to keep here. I've got it selected. I can denote that because it's got this grayed over, whited over look. Now when I go up to the Edit drop-down menu, I have some options available to me, and what I'm going to say is Split Clip at Selection. And what that does is it puts a split at both the beginning and the end. Since mine was already at the beginning, there was already a split there. But now what I have, in essence, is two pieces of audio right here on the track. So think physically splitting with some scissors in the old days, cutting actual tape, audio tape. Now we're cutting the digital. When I can select one piece of audio, and notice how it gets a little darker when it's selected as opposed to the audio that's not selected. I can grab on the selected piece and pull it away, and I have two different pieces of audio. The track is now split in two. I could grab this piece and pull it down to another track, and I could save that for later. But I know for now that I'm not going to use this piece of audio, so I can just click on it and select it, and then I can either hit delete or go to edit and cut the clip, and that will take it off the timeline. Now, while I cut that clip off the timeline, I still have the full media file that's unedited available to me up here in my imported files. So if I make an edit that I don't want, I can always click undo, and that will bring my undo the latest edit that I've done. I'll delete that again. Or I can access the full unedited version from my imported files, and I could always drag another instance of that back into my project. So what's in your imported files always are available to you, but I will delete that for now. So now we just have this one little piece of intro music. I'm going to click Save. Now, one of the other requirements for our audio assignment is to record audio, vocal audio, right through the application itself. To do this, you're going to need to have your microphone hooked up to your computer and chosen as the default recording device on your computer. I always like the USB microphones or headsets just because they're pretty much plug and play. You plug them in, and by default, your system will recognize that as the audio input. That microphone will be your audio input. Once you have your microphone set up, then to record audio, we go down to this button here, Record, and we get this menu. Now, this online editing application, just like Pixlr, which we used previously, and some of our subsequent online editing applications, are all Flash-based. Whenever a Flash-based application wants to use your microphone or your video camera that's built into your device, it asks for your permission. And this is a very nice privacy feature. Of course, we want this there. But in this instance, I will allow the aviary application to access my microphone. So click Allow. And here we have this audio recorder application. It's tricky here, and my audio volume might change a little bit. I am recording this tutorial on the Camtasia application, and it has its volume set. And now I'm opened up another application that also is using my computer volume. Now, if you notice right here, there's this little green indicator, and what that shows is my volume level. Right now, my volume level, according to Myna, is extremely low, and I would never want to record my audio at a level this low. I need to increase the record volume. I have a slider right here. Now, when I do that, what might happen is the audio for Camtasia might get increased, and so our video tutorial here, the volume might increase, so bear with me. I will fix it once we're done doing the demonstration for recording. So when I change my recording volume, I'm going to move it up to something, say, around 80%, maybe in that range. And now when I talk, you'll notice that in general, my the vocal levels are hitting somewhere around in here between 75 and 80%, and that's a good place to be. If I start to talk louder, you'll notice that sometimes I'm getting up into the yellow and the red range, and what that's saying is the recording levels are too loud. You're going to get a popping effect on your recording, and you don't want to set your levels too loud, otherwise you'll be dissatisfied with the output when you're done. So recording volume is a critical thing. You want to get the volume as loud as you can get it without getting up into that red area. So you might want to do some test recording to play with the record volume before you sit down and actually do your full piece. You might be sad to find out after recording 5 minutes of audio that your recording was off and you'd have to do it over again. So please test your record volume before you start. I'm pretty happy with the recording levels as they are right now, and note that I can choose my my microphone. And actually, I did not have my headset microphone set up, so now I can readjust my record volume. There we go. So now I'm in the proper microphone, an acceptable volume range for me, and I am ready to record. The way that there's an echo reduction, so if you start to get an echo in your recording, you can click that option. Monitor sound lets you, through your headphones, listen to what you're recording. And if you have, say, music or some other audio on other tracks, if you play other tracks while recording, then you will hear what's happening on the timeline while you're recording, which is a crucial piece if the audio that you're recording is timeline specific and relates directly to other audio elements on the timeline. So once you select your features, you can go ahead and click Start Recording by clicking this red button here. Welcome. This is the audio editing assignment for OLIT 522. My name is Jason Skinner, and this is my audio recording. What I would say after this would be my instructional audio tutorial. It might be an outline for my instructional video for class, or really any other content that you want to share with the course and submit as your assignment. Once you're done recording, you click on that same red button, and the recording is stopped. Now, this audio that you've just recorded is not yet put directly into the aviary application, the Myna application. You have the capability to click this play pause button. This is the audio editing assignment for OLIT 522. My name is Jason Skinner, and this is my audio recording. Now, those levels sounded a little hot to me. There was a little bit of pop-in at the top level, so I would probably take my record volume and turn it down a notch and re-record that test just to see if I kept blowing the levels and getting up into the yellow and red. Once I am happy with the audio that I've recorded, I click Import to Project. Now I can go back, and if I know that I'm unhappy with the audio that I just recorded, if I click Record, I can start a new recording. But once you do that, you lose what you've previously recorded. So if you at all think that you might use something that you record, go ahead and import it to the project. I'm going to click Import to Project, and just like uploading audio external MP3s, it might take a minute. You are prompted to give that piece of audio a name. By default, it gives you a date and a time stamp, and we'll just leave that for now. I'll click Save. The file that you just recorded is now imported into your Imported Files menu, and we can see now I have the Big Bill Brunsey and the recording that I just did of my voice. Click Save. And now I can grab that recording and I will drag it down onto track number 2. Video editing assignment for OLIT 522. And so I can listen to my music, and I can listen to
My name is Jason Skinner.
my narrated audio, Once again, that audio is a little loud. We'll have to change that volume once we start editing. But I do want to show you one third option for bringing in content onto your timeline. We have imported external audio from an MP3 or audio file that you have. We have recorded audio using the microphone and the record options in the application. There's also a library here of audio that Myna makes available. So you may get asked to agree to terms of service. And once you do, you have a number of libraries here: tracks, beats, aviaries, community of sharing, SoundCloud. Let's look at these quantum tracks. Now, the majority of this stuff is musically based. You can choose by CD or categories. Once you find something that you're interested in, say this CD, I have some intros, some loops. Let me take a listen to some loops. There's a number of them here. These are just short snippets of audio. You can see 2-4 seconds. Let's take a listen to just one of these at random. So there you go. There's just a quick little snippet of audio. It sounds fine to me for our purposes here. There's a pretty big catalog of sounds that you can listen to, and once you choose something, what you can do is drag it up and just drop it onto one of your tracks. Now, when I'm done, I'm gonna close the library here, and I'm gonna give this little loop its own track. So what I have is imported, recorded, and then loops from the library. Now I can take a listen. And typical to what loops are, it's a small chunk of audio, and you can put it back to back to back to back, so you can loop it 5, 6, 7, 8 times, and it should seamlessly kind of work together just to give you that repetition sound of a loop. I'm going to click Save. Now we have some audio elements on our timeline, and right now, sort of back to back to back, we're looking at just under a minute worth of audio. Let's start to do some editing and play with these chunks a little bit. The first thing I'd like to do is to show you individual track options. Now this is called track 1, but I can click on it and change the name here. I'm going to call this imported. Let's see. Double click on it, imported, recorded, and this one we'll call library. Now we can kind of get a visual on that, which once again is really important as you start to build multiple tracks in the same way that when we build multiple image layers. The more layers, the more tracks, the more critical it is that you title your track something that makes it easy to recognize at quick reference. We have a solo button, and when I click solo, what it does is it mutes out everything else on all of the tracks, and it only lets the audio on this track be heard. I'll unclick that. When I click mute, it only mutes the audio on this track. So between solo and mute, you can start to differentiate what's on a single track and what the effect is if you take away a single track. We have a slider here, and what this represents is the total volume for the track, meaning that'll be the volume for the track from start to finish. We also have a pan here. I can kind of click on it and drag it. And that'll either put it in the left speaker or the right speaker. And once again, if I click the pan up here, then that will stay within, say, the right speaker, more towards the right speaker for the entirety of the track. We have what are called automations, which enable us to adjust volume and panning to the right and left over time. So let's take a look at those. This also includes the fades, which we do have a requirement to fade in and fade out of our music for the assignment. So click the auto button, and what happens is the track expands. We get 3 choices: fade, gain, and pan. And let's look at fades first. Go ahead and click the fade button. And what we get at the beginning and the end of each chunk of audio on a track has these little squares. These are handles which will enable us to create a fade. So I will click on the handle to the left here and I will pull it out over time. Now when I'm doing some editing, it might be a good idea to zoom in a little bit. Let's zoom in on this so I don't make my fade last too long. Now I'm looking at a couple second fade here. That's pretty good. Now what this white line indicates is this is 0 volume, and then slowly the volume increases over time of the track until it reaches the top, and that'll be full volume. So let's take a listen. Now just a simple effect which slowly increases the volume over time. We'll do the same thing on the end over here. I can grab this and pull it, and that will create a fade out, and we can take a listen to the fade out. So by adding a fade in and fade out, we're able to really take any chunk of audio and kind of and give it an appropriate opening and closing where you don't feel like you're dropped off, just like with a hard cut where the volume is at 100%. So fades are important, and please include some variations on fade ins and fade outs in your audio assignment. Let's see. Let me take I'm going to click on this piece of audio, which is our Big Bill Brunsey. I'm going to go to Edit, Copy Clip, and right here at the timeline, I'm going to say Edit, Paste Clip, and what I get is an exact replica of what I just created. Now I'm going to take these fades and just pull them back over. I don't want to have any fades on this chunk of audio right here. Instead, I'm going to look at the gain option. Now, notice that I have applied the fades on this first clip right here, and I see that indicated by the lines on the physical waveform, so I know that the fade effect is applied to this track. And now I have the option to adjust the gain over time. Now gain is volume, and when you play with gain over time, what you can do is instead of just a straight from 0 to 100 fade in, fade out, we can adjust volume over time. So what I can do is I can click on this yellow line and create a couple of handles, these red little dots here. And when I grab on one of these handles, note what happens to the volume of the track from one dot to another. You start to see that you can manipulate the volume from up and down. Right here is full volume. This goes to probably 20% volume, back up to full, back down to 20% for the rest of it. Now let's go ahead and click solo. When I do that, it mutes out all of the rest of the track, so I won't be able to hear what's on this green track here, my recorded track. And we'll just take a look at that gain effect over time on this Big Bill Brunsey clip. So you can play with the volume levels over time using gain. It's pretty fun. Go ahead and experiment around with that, and you'll start to get a handle on how to increase and decrease the volume using gain. Now I'm just going to select this clip and delete it because we were really just using that for a demonstration. I'll click on this original clip, and I'll go ahead and copy it and just paste it again. And we'll do one more demo using the pan option. And so I'll go to fades because there's a fade applied to this clip. I'll take the fade off, and now it's just the plain little clip right here. When I click on pan, notice that I can do the same thing. This red line lets me put these small yellow handles here, and when I pull it, instead of adjusting volume, what I'm doing is I'm moving all of the volume over into the left speaker, and now I'm moving all of the volume over into the right speaker. And I don't think that will come through too well when I press play on the video. But go ahead and play with this feature as well. You can start to adjust your the pan of your audio between your two speakers. I'm going to click on that and delete it out. So I'm going to unclick solo. Now my other tracks, I can hear the audio again. 22. And when I'm done adding effects to this specific, or the fade in, fade out to this specific clip. Once again, when I click fades, I can see my handles there. Once I'm done adding these automations to my clip, I'm just going to click on this auto button, and my track will collapse back down, and I still have my fade in and my fade out. It's a good time to save. Great. Now I want to get across the concept of overlapping audio, so that note that in this track right here, the imported audio, we still have 4 or 5 seconds worth of audio left after the playhead, and we have about 4 or 5 seconds of overlap between the recorded audio and the imported audio. The effect is going to be that I can't hear my recorded audio here. Then my recorded audio is going to kick in, and then once the volume fades down, all I will be able to hear is the recorded volume. Let's turn this recorded volume down just a bit, because I think the recording levels were a little high. And what that'll do is it'll apply maybe 80% volume on this recorded track for the whole track. So once again, the volume levels help me to mix between the inputs of this track versus this track. Let's get this effect. Welcome. This is the audio editing assignment for OLIT 522. My name is Jason Skinner, and this is my audio recording. So once again, the volume's still a little high in my mind, but part of that has to do with those recording levels. So once again, reminder: watch your recording levels. So what I have is this audio track, instrumental track, fade in. We hear some music, fade down, and then the audio starts. You can start to play with the interaction between the two tracks to get the effect that you want. You might want the volume to completely go to 0 from your instrumental track before the vocals start, or you might like that little bit of overlap as the volume moves down. All of a sudden you hear the audio, and then you can hear the music fade out, and then you're already in the vocal track. That is an aesthetic choice that I will leave up to you, but you can start to play with the effects of merging the sound from multiple tracks over time. And that really is the exciting thing about multi-track editing. Let's click save. Okay, I am going to grab my third little piece of music here, this loop that we grabbed from the library, and let's find a good place for that. My name is Jason Skinner, and this is my audio recording. Let's start right around audio recording, and then I'll have this loop jump right in. Now, the interesting thing about these loops that are built into the program, you can grab a hold of, and you can do this with any piece of audio. It's called a trim, and you can just cut off pieces of the audio just by pulling it over the top, or you can expand it back out. And when you get one of these white lines, what that means is, let's take a look here. This is the full loop right here, and when I pull it out, these white lines here, those are the a new version of that same piece of audio. So this is a loop, this is loop 2, this is loop 3, and if I pull it out, I can get loop 4 right here. So now I have 4 instances of that loop, and let's hear what those sound like together. Recording. What I would say after this would be my instructional audio. Okay. So I would turn down, since I have my vocal layer, and then I would turn my my loop music down maybe 50% here, so that what really stands out is my vocal track. Let's listen to that again. Recording. What I would say after this would be my instructional audio tutorial. Okay, now not the most scripted out audio narration by me, but I hope that you're starting to get the concept of mixing multiple elements over the course of time to create the audio effect. So I would probably turn this down even a little bit more. We could add a fade into this loop, a fade out, and do multiple things there. But I think that you're starting to get the concept of multiple tracks interacting with each other. Let's look one last time at being able to. Um, I want to make sure that I cover this well enough. Being able to cut and chunk and crop and trim audio. Let's bring one more instance of Big Bill out onto the timeline here. And okay, so I showed you the select tool, so I can grab a selection. When I grab it and start and I stop in the middle, now I can say edit, trim the clip, or excuse me, split the clip at the selection. And I get a split at the beginning and a split at the end, which then enables me to delete part of the track, and I can delete what's at the beginning and the end. Let's click undo. It looks like you only get to undo once, which is a little limiting, but that's okay. I'm going to bring Big Bill back down again. I'll pull another selection, and this time I will select, and when I say edit, I will trim the clip at the selection, and what that does is it cuts off the end and the beginning for me. So I'm going to cut this. Actually, let's bring that right back. So this is my trimmed selection. Now, once again, I have the trim end and the trim start. Because there was more audio when I brought in Big Bill, he has a 3-minute track, and I've only clipped out a few seconds here. I can grab this trim end and pull it back, and more of the song will make itself available. So I could basically open this track all the way back up to the 3-minute length of the song, or I could trim it down just by pulling down over the top. So using Myna, you have the capability to really size the chunk of audio that you want, or if you've lost something, you can open the trim end back up to make it just the right selection that you want. And then once again, I want to reiterate that your imported files are all still here in their original instance, meaning there's no effects. They're in their full uncut version, so you can always pull one of these back onto your timeline. So I hope that covers trimming and splitting and cutting on the audio in your timeline. Now, the one last thing that I want to cover before we export this out to an MP3 is how to add effects onto your audio. So I'm going to grab this intro with Big Bill Brunzi. I'm going to go up and copy it. And we'll put this right towards the end of the creation. And I'm just going to edit, paste. And we might have a little bit of overlap. That's fine. Note that I still have my fade in and fade out applied, and I can see that from those white lines, the volume lines there. Now to add an effect, I can double click on that piece of audio, and I get this menu right here. Now this is the chunk of audio selection that I will be applying my effect to, and what that is the full audio right here. And then from this drop-down menu, so I can take a listen using this play button. Now, if I click one of the drop-down button and I pick an effect such as reverb, I get some different selections here, and now reverb is applied to that chunk, and I can take a listen. And I can change my reverb settings by playing with this to see what kind of different effects I get by changing the levels. I can also grab another effect from this drop-down menu, and I'll pick a flanger this time. And now I can basically overlap multiple effects. And so over time I can build the effect that I'm looking for. I'm just going to go ahead and click apply, and now I have applied FX2 to this track, so I know that this track has effects applied to it. I can always double click on it again and get back to those effects. If I want to clear an effect, I can click clear, but I'll go ahead and reapply. And let's take a listen. Done recording. You click on that same red button. Okay, and that's how you apply an effect to a chunk of audio. By default, when you get to the end of your timeline, the end of your creation, Myna will loop it around again, which is just a default there for musicians. If you want to turn off that capability to loop playback, it's down here by your play menu. Just unclick loop playback. But now what we have, we've imported music. We have recorded our voice. We've imported some audio from a library. We've applied a fade in and fade out. We've adjusted the volume of our levels. We've also brought in and looped some audio. Then we took and copied and pasted our intro, and this time we applied an effect to it. And I think I require at least one effect just so I can hear that you know how to do it. I think that's about it. Let's go ahead and click Save. Great, and now that we have it saved, we can click Mix Down. This is the point once you're feeling relatively happy with your end product. Go ahead and click Mix Down, and once again, this may take a minute. And once it takes a while, once it is finishing mixing down, then you have access to your new creation. So what we see here, EGG is the proprietary format for Myna or Aviary audio editing files. Just so you know, if you do want to save to egg, you can do that just like we did with the PXD for Pixlr, PSD for Photoshop. We have download links, so what I urge you to do is download both a WAV and an MP3 version. You only have the need to use the MP3 version for turning it in for our classroom assignment, but as we discussed, the WAV is the uncompressed version of your audio. It's going to be your best file, which you can use as your archive for future references. Go ahead and click the download MP3, and it'll take a few moments to download. Once you click the button, it takes a few minutes to download. Once you've downloaded your files in MP3 or WAV format, you also have the option to for embed code and URLs specific to Aviary. I find that the important piece is the to download the files themselves. And if you're interested, you can go to the File drop-down menu and choose to save your assignment as an EGG, which once again is the actual file for Aviary. I've downloaded my MP3. Now I'm going to continue working on my creation. Close that. I can click on File, and here we go, Save Egg to Desktop or Open Egg from Desktop. That'll enable you to save the layered audio project file, similar to when we saved the PXD from Pixlr. Now, one last step, since we've pretty much finished creating and exporting out our project, we've saved it. I'm going to go ahead and close the editor. And now what I want to do is I'm going to click Leave Page. Now I want to show you how to find your creation through Aviary. Once you get to Aviary, and once again the advanced tools are advancedaviary.com. Once you get there and you're logged in, you get this drop down menu under You, and you can choose your creations. So I'll click that, and there is the audio assignment. I can take a listen, or if I click here, I get the page for the assignment or for the creation that I made. And this is the one that I'm interested in here, Open in Audio Editor. So if I click that, then it'll open my project back up. It takes a while to load. The larger your file, and your bandwidth, you find the longer it takes to load, to export, to mix down, etc. So if you are having problems with your internet connectivity, let me know, or try to find a better connection and see if it still works for you. As always, give me a call or an email if you're having any problems or if you have any questions. And I think that's about it. Thanks for watching.